Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve everything they dream of, while others struggle just to survive? What if the limits you see around you are not real at all, but just shadows of a small mindset holding you back? Picture this: a world where your ideas explode beyond imagination, where every goal, every dream, every desire is within your grasp. But to step into that world, you must first change the way you think. This is not a story of luck, not of chance. It is a story of power, a power that lives in your mind. And today, that power is about to be awakened. Welcome to The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz, a journey that will challenge everything you believe about success, courage, and the life you are meant to live. Can you imagine the life waiting for you if you dare to think bigger than ever before? The doors are here. The choices are yours. But the question is, are you ready to step through them? Now, let's begin the audiobook. If you are ready, let me open the very first page of this journey. Chapter 1. Believe you can succeed. The seed of achievement. Have you ever wondered why some people achieve the impossible while others watch life pass them by? What if the single thing standing between you and your dreams isn't luck, talent, or opportunity, but belief itself? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast dark ocean. Behind you, the safety of the familiar shore. Ahead, waves of endless possibility. Most people freeze. They doubt. They convince themselves that the water is too cold, too deep, too dangerous. But some, they take the first step. They believe they can swim, and suddenly the water bends to their courage. That first step, that single act of belief, changes everything. Belief is not a soft, abstract idea. It is the engine of action, the spark that turns dreams into reality. Every achievement, every breakthrough in history started with a person who dared to believe they could. And here is the secret David J. Schwartz shares. Success begins with the simple, radical act of thinking you can succeed. Many of us undervalue the power of belief. We assume that success is reserved for the lucky, the gifted, the naturally talented. But think for a moment. Have you ever seen someone ordinary rise to extraordinary heights simply because they refused to doubt themselves? That's belief in action. It's the quiet force that moves mountains, wins businesses, and transforms lives. Belief fuels action, and action fuels success. Without belief, even the most brilliant plans stagnate. Imagine building a house without laying a foundation. It might look like progress for a moment, but it will crumble under pressure. Your belief is that foundation. Every step you take toward your dreams rests upon it. But how do you cultivate this belief? How do you turn an abstract hope into a living, breathing force in your life? Schwartz tells us that belief is not just a feeling, it is a practice. It grows through repetition, through conscious choice, through a commitment to think in ways that serve your highest goals. Consider the story of a young man with no formal education, working in a small, dimly lit office. Day after day, he faced setbacks, ridicule, and the relentless pull of doubt. Yet he clung to one principle. He would succeed because he believed he could. Over time, that belief shaped his thoughts, his actions, and ultimately his reality. The world once indifferent to him began to bend. Opportunities appeared, doors opened. That young man became a leader, not because the world favored him, but because his belief refused to let him be ordinary. Belief also has a contagious quality. People respond to the conviction in your voice, the steadiness in your gaze, the certainty in your steps. When you genuinely believe you can succeed, others begin to believe in you too. Employers, colleagues, friends, even strangers are drawn to confidence backed by conviction. They invest their trust, their time, and sometimes their resources, because your belief makes them imagine what is possible. Here's a practical approach to nurturing this belief. Start thinking in terms of "I will" rather than "I hope." Replace thoughts of limitation with affirmations of possibility. If you catch yourself saying, "I can't do this," pause and say instead, "I am capable of finding a way." Over time, your subconscious mind stops listening to excuses and begins to hunt for solutions. You are literally rewiring your brain to focus on success. Schwartz emphasizes another powerful tool: visualization. Imagine your goals as if they are already accomplished. Picture yourself speaking confidently, closing that deal, achieving that recognition, or reaching that milestone. The mind cannot distinguish between vivid imagination and real experience. When you consistently visualize success, your actions naturally align with those imagined outcomes. Doubt weakens, motivation strengthens, and momentum builds. However, belief alone is not enough. It must be combined with action. Schwartz warns against passive dreaming. You can't simply sit and tell yourself, "I believe I can succeed," and expect the universe to comply. Belief is the engine, but action is the fuel. Every bold step you take, no matter how small, is a declaration of your belief. Each effort reinforces it, creating a self-perpetuating cycle. Believe, act, achieve, believe more, act more. An essential aspect of this chapter is understanding the cost of disbelief. People who fail often do not lack talent, resources, or opportunity. They lack belief. They let fear, skepticism, and the opinions of others dictate their limits. They settle for mediocrity, convinced that bigger dreams are for other people. But the tragedy is not failure. It is what failure costs the human spirit. Every untried dream, every ignored opportunity, every goal left on the shelf is a silent theft from your potential. So what does it truly mean to believe you can succeed? It means waking up each day with the conviction that you are capable of more than yesterday. It means refusing to accept limitations imposed by society, circumstance, or self-doubt. It means seeing every obstacle as a challenge rather than a wall. It means thinking and acting like a person destined for achievement, even before the world acknowledges it. Let me leave you with a question to ponder as you carry this chapter forward. What could you accomplish if you stopped doubting yourself for just one day? What doors would open? What paths would appear? What victories would suddenly seem inevitable? The power of belief is not a secret reserved for a chosen few. It is available to anyone willing to embrace it, to nurture it, and to act upon it relentlessly. And as you step into this book, chapter by chapter, you will discover that the only true barrier to success is the size of your thinking. Small belief yields small results. Bold belief yields extraordinary lives. But there is a hidden danger lurking just beyond this chapter. Belief without clarity, without method, without deliberate action can falter. How do you transform raw belief into unstoppable, tangible success? How do you ensure that your dreams do not dissolve into mere wishful thinking? The answer? Chapter 2. Cure yourself of excusitis, the enemy of progress. Have you ever noticed how some people always have a reason why they can't succeed? What if I told you that these reasons are the invisible chains holding them back from greatness? Excuses. They are everywhere. In the workplace, in classrooms, in boardrooms, in homes. Excuses are the quiet killers of ambition, the subtle thieves of time, energy, and potential. We've all made them. Sometimes they seem harmless, almost natural, a way to rationalize why life hasn't gone according to plan. But the truth is far more dangerous. Excuses are contagious. If you make them, you infect your thinking, your actions, and eventually your destiny. David J. Schwartz coined a term for this modern plague, excusitis. It's an affliction that masquerades as reason. Its symptoms are easy to spot. I don't have enough education. I'm too old. The market is tough. I don't have the right connections. Listen closely. Every excuse is a mask of fear, a way to protect the ego from risk, failure, and responsibility. But while excuses may soothe the mind temporarily, they slowly destroy everything you hope to achieve. Let's examine the 3 most common forms of excusitis and how they silently sabotage success. Health excuses. I can't do it because of my health, people say. Yet countless individuals have overcome severe physical limitations to achieve greatness. The difference lies not in the body, but in the mind. Health limitations are real, yes, but they are rarely absolute barriers. Excusitis magnifies minor obstacles into insurmountable mountains. Intelligence or knowledge excuses. I don't know enough, some claim. Here's the truth. Knowledge is abundant, accessible, and ever-growing. Belief in your ability to learn is far more critical than the knowledge you currently possess. People who wait until they know everything to act never act at all. Age excuses. I'm too young or I'm too old. Age is a number. History is littered with examples of extraordinary achievement from the youngest prodigies and the oldest innovators. Excusitis whispers, you're not ready. But the world doesn't wait for readiness, it rewards courage and action. Schwartz warns that excusitis often has a sneaky companion, blame. When we excuse, we also blame external circumstances, society, bosses, family, or economy for our shortcomings. But here's the hard truth. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It only responds to results. Now consider the psychological trap. Every excuse you tell yourself builds an invisible cage. It shrinks your vision, narrows your opportunities, and numbs your ambition. Excusitis does not just prevent you from acting, it changes how you think about yourself, eroding confidence, dampening creativity, and slowing your growth. So how do we cure this silent epidemic? Schwartz prescribes a 3-step remedy that has transformed thousands of lives. Step 1. Recognize your excuses. Begin by listening to your inner dialogue. Every "I can't" is a red flag. Write them down, examine them ruthlessly. Ask yourself, is this an objective limitation or a self-imposed prison? Awareness is the first step towards liberation. Step 2. Replace excuses with possibility. For every excuse, consciously generate a solution or a plan. Instead of saying, I don't have the experience, say, I will learn what I need to succeed. Instead of, I'm too old, say, I can use my experience as my advantage. Excusitis thrives in helpless thinking. Action thrives in possibility thinking. Step 3. Take immediate action. The cure is not thinking positively alone. It is doing. Act on what you can control today, right now. Even small, consistent steps erode the power of excuses. Momentum kills excusitis, and as momentum grows, excuses shrink and eventually vanish. Let's make it tangible with an example. Imagine a young woman with a passion for writing. She tells herself she can't publish a book because she has no formal education and no publishing contacts. Excusitis is whispering in her ear every day.
But one day she decides, I will start writing anyway. I will learn the craft. I will reach out to mentors. She begins posting articles online, attending workshops, and submitting her work. Slowly, doors open, opportunities appear, and people start noticing her talent. Her initial excuses didn't vanish magically. They were crushed under the weight of consistent action. Excusitis also affects organizations. Schwartz cites companies that fail not because of market conditions, but because leaders succumb to excuses. The economy is bad. Our competitors have an advantage. We can't risk it. Excusitis kills creativity, paralyzes decision-making, and stifles innovation. Leaders who think big reject excuses. They focus on what can be done, not what cannot be. An essential insight in this chapter is that excuses are a habit. They are learned behaviors, often absorbed from parents, teachers, or peers. Breaking this habit requires deliberate effort, repetition, and self-discipline. Start by monitoring your thoughts daily. Catch yourself the moment an excuse arises and replace it with a statement of action. Over time, this rewires your mind to automatically seek solutions rather than generate reasons for failure. Schwartz also emphasizes that excusitis does not just mean avoiding the challenges. Life is unpredictable, obstacles are real, and circumstances can be difficult. But excusitis exaggerates, magnifies, and distorts obstacles until they appear insurmountable. The goal is to see reality clearly and act boldly despite it. Here's a technique Schwartz recommends: the 5 why drill. Each time you give yourself an excuse, ask why 5 times in a row. For example, I can't start my business because I don't have money. Why? Because I don't have investors. Why? Because I don't have a network. Why? Because I haven't tried reaching out. By the 5th why, the root cause is often revealed as inaction or fear, not a real barrier. This is where true empowerment begins. Remember, excusitis is not just a personal problem, it is a cultural disease. Many societies unconsciously encourage people to focus on limitations, to normalize excuses, and to celebrate small thinking. But those who think big, act decisively, and reject excuses are the ones who change their lives, their communities, and the world. By now you may be asking yourself, do I have excusitis? Have I been hiding behind invisible chains all my life? It's a sobering question, but it is also the first step towards freedom. Because the moment you confront your excuses, the moment you take responsibility for your actions, you step into a world where growth, opportunity, and success are limitless. And here is the most powerful truth. Curing excusitis is not just about achieving goals, it is about transforming your identity. The person who stops making excuses becomes a person who sees opportunities, embraces challenges, and thrives in uncertainty. Excusitis-free thinking is a hallmark of leaders, innovators, and extraordinary achievers. But there is a hidden twist. Excusitis can sneak back into your life silently, disguised as new challenges, fears, or doubts. Awareness, vigilance, and consistent action are your defenses. And there is one more secret weapon you must master. Something even more powerful than just rejecting excuses. The ability to build unstoppable belief and confidence in yourself. This is exactly what we will explore in the next chapter. How do you replace fear with bold action? How do you build confidence that cannot be shaken by setbacks, criticism, or failure? That answer is just beyond this chapter, and it is the key to unlocking the next level of your success.
Chapter 3. Build confidence and destroy fear. The power of action. Have you ever stood frozen at the edge of an opportunity, paralyzed by fear, wondering if you were brave enough to take the leap? What if I told you that fear is not a wall, but a shadow that disappears the moment you act? Fear is one of the greatest obstacles that stands between ordinary lives and extraordinary achievements. It whispers in the quiet moments, sneaks into conversations, and makes possibilities seem distant, unreachable, and dangerous. Most people never act because they overestimate the threat and underestimate their own capacity. But here is the truth David Schwartz drives home. Fear shrinks and confidence grows through action. Imagine a tightrope stretched high above the ground. Most would hesitate, imagining every possible way to fall. But the tightrope walker focuses not on the height or the danger. They focus on the step ahead. One confident step leads to another, and suddenly what seemed impossible becomes reality. Confidence is learned the same way. It is built step by step, action by action. Schwartz identifies a critical principle. Action cures fear. Fear is not eliminated by thinking positively alone, by wishing, or by hoping circumstances change. Fear is neutralized when we take decisive, immediate steps toward our goals. Every action is a declaration that you are stronger than your doubts, braver than your hesitation, and capable of more than you ever imagined. Think of a young entrepreneur facing the challenge of starting a business in a competitive market. The fear of failure can be overwhelming. What if the idea doesn't work? What if the market rejects it? What if everyone laughs? But the entrepreneur takes one action. They create a prototype, reach out to potential customers, or share the idea with a mentor. That single act of doing something tangible transforms fear into confidence. And then another step follows. Momentum builds, fear diminishes, success becomes inevitable. Schwartz emphasizes that confidence is not a mysterious trait that some are born with. It is a habit cultivated by purposeful action. Start small, but start today. Speak up in meetings. Make that phone call. Take the first step toward a project you've been dreaming of. Each action trains your mind, body, and spirit to expect competence and to believe in possibility. A common misconception is that confidence is the absence of fear. In reality, confidence is the mastery of fear through action. Every courageous act, no matter how small, adds a layer of resilience. Think of fear as a muscle. It shrinks when unused, but it is powerless against consistent, deliberate action. Schwartz also introduces the idea of practice in advance. Imagine a challenging conversation with a boss, a public speech, or a high-stakes meeting. Instead of avoiding it, mentally rehearse it. Visualize yourself performing with poise, calm, and assertiveness. Practice the words, the posture, the tone. This mental rehearsal reduces fear because your mind begins to anticipate success rather than dread failure. Another vital point, do not wait for courage to appear magically. Courage is not a gift, it is a decision. Each day presents opportunities to act despite fear. The moment you decide to act, confidence begins to build, even if your heart pounds and your palms sweat. Action is a declaration to yourself. I am capable. I am strong. I am ready. Consider the story of a young manager in a company who feared speaking up during strategy meetings. His ideas were valuable, but his fear kept him silent. One day, he decided to share a small idea, not a major plan, just a suggestion. To his surprise, it was well received. Encouraged, he contributed again. Step by step, action by action, fear diminished and confidence blossomed. Within months, he became one of the most respected voices in his organization. His tourney was not about talent. It was about refusing to let fear dictate action. Schwartz also warns about the danger of inaction. Hesitation is a silent killer. Every moment spent waiting for the perfect time or the perfect conditions allows fear to grow, excuses to multiply, and opportunities to slip away. The antidote is immediate, decisive action, no matter how small.
The first step creates momentum, and momentum is the engine of confidence. Here's a practical exercise Schwartz recommends. Do one thing you fear today. It can be a conversation you've been avoiding, a project you've been postponing, or a goal you've been hesitant to pursue. Take action, however small, and note the results. Most often, the anticipated disaster never occurs, and the fear that once seemed insurmountable diminishes. Fear is also amplified by imagination. People imagine the worst-case scenario, rehearse failure in vivid detail, and then allow that imagined reality to control their decisions. Schwartz teaches a method to counter this. Imagine the best-case scenario instead. Picture yourself succeeding, thriving, and exceeding expectations. Let the mind anticipate possibility rather than disaster. Then act. Action paired with positive expectation transforms fear into confidence. Another critical insight is the relationship between preparation and action. Fear often arises from the unknown. The more you prepare, the more certain you become, and the less fear controls you. Research, practice, and planning reduce uncertainty, making action easier. But even preparation alone is not enough. Action must follow, or fear will regain its grip. Now let's talk about courageous habits. Schwartz emphasizes that building confidence is like building a muscle. Face small fears daily. Each minor act of courage strengthens your mind for bigger challenges. Seek challenges intentionally. Don't wait for crisis. Look for opportunities to stretch yourself. Measure progress, not perfection. Confidence grows with each success, no matter how small. Fear is universal, but the people who succeed think differently. They recognize fear, understand it, and use it as a signal rather than a stop sign. They act in spite of it. This mindset separates leaders from followers, innovators from the indifferent, achievers from the dreamers. Schwartz also stresses the role of self-talk. The internal dialogue you maintain profoundly affects your courage. Thoughts like, "I can do this," or "I'm prepared," reinforce action, while thoughts like, "I'm not ready," or "I'll fail," paralyze it. Become your own coach, your own cheerleader, and your own motivator. Speak with conviction to yourself before the world even has a chance to challenge you. Perhaps most importantly, confidence attracts opportunity. People instinctively respond to those who act decisively. They trust them, invest in them, and follow their lead. Fear, on the other hand, repels opportunity, isolates individuals, and limits influence. Action is not just a personal tool, it is a social magnet. But here's the final secret of this chapter. Action amplifies belief, and belief fuels more action. The cycle is unstoppable. One courageous act leads to confidence. Confidence leads to more bold action. More action leads to greater achievement. And suddenly, you are no longer bound by fear. You are propelled by it, transformed into momentum that nothing can stop. By the end of this chapter, the key principle is clear. You cannot afford to wait until fear disappears. Fear never disappears on its own. You must act anyway. Take the first step, and the path will reveal itself. The journey from hesitation to boldness begins the moment you choose action over inaction. But there is a lurking question that Schwartz teases here. Courage alone is not enough. Action can be misdirected, confidence can be overblown, and fear can resurface in new forms. How do you ensure that your growing courage and confidence are directed toward meaningful, life-changing goals rather than wasted energy? The answer awaits in the next chapter, where we will explore how to think big, how to channel your newly built confidence into vision, purpose, and extraordinary success.
Chapter 4. Think Big. Unlocking the Mind's Potential. Have you ever limited yourself before even trying? imagining your dreams were too vast, too impossible. What if the only thing standing between you and greatness is the size of your thinking? The mind is like a fertile garden, capable of producing magnificent ideas, or withering under the weight of small, timid thoughts. What you think today shapes what you achieve tomorrow. And yet, most people unknowingly shrink their possibilities. They set small goals, hold modest ambitions, and convince themselves that ordinary is enough. David J. Schwartz shatters this illusion. Thinking big is the gateway to extraordinary achievement. Think big, and the world begins to expand. Limit your thinking, and the world contracts to the size of your imagination. Your life will always mirror the size of your thinking. But how does one cultivate big thinking? How do you break free from the mental chains of mediocrity? Schwartz provides not just insight, but a blueprint. Consider this. A small thought leads to small action, which produces small results. A big thought leads to bold action, which produces remarkable results. The difference is not luck, opportunity, or talent. It is vision. People who think big do not simply react to life, they shape it. They imagine what could be, then pursue it relentlessly. One of the hallmarks of big thinking is seeing beyond obstacles. People who think small focus on the barriers. I can't because of time. I can't because of money. I can't because of risk. Big thinkers see the same obstacles and ask, how can I turn this into an opportunity? How can I make this work? Their questions generate possibilities instead of paralyzing doubt. Schwartz emphasizes that thinking big is not about fantasy. It is about purposeful, expansive thinking that is anchored in reality and action. A visionary business leader does not simply dream about success. They chart bold goals, strategize, and then act decisively. They imagine the impossible, then transform it into the inevitable through planning, persistence, and courage. Let's examine the mindset of those who think big. They focus on opportunities, not problems. Big thinkers train themselves to look for potential in every situation. Every setback becomes a lesson, every failure a stepping stone, every challenge an opportunity to innovate. Small thinkers focus on what's wrong. Big thinkers focus on what could be. They believe in themselves and others. Confidence fuels action, and action fuels results. But thinking big also requires a faith in others, mentors, colleagues, teams, and networks. Big thinkers recognize that collaboration magnifies their vision. They inspire others to dream bigger as well. They refuse to settle for mediocrity. Satisfaction with enough is the enemy of greatness. Big thinkers set high standards and strive for excellence, not perfection. They know that even incremental improvement in a bold direction compounds into remarkable achievement over time. A key principle in this chapter is that your environment shapes your thinking. Surround yourself with small thinkers, and your imagination will shrink. Surround yourself with visionary, ambitious, and positive people, and your mind will naturally expand. Schwartz urges readers to deliberately seek environments that encourage growth, courage, and big thinking. Consider the story of an ambitious young engineer who dreamed of inventing a revolutionary product. Initially, his peers laughed at his ideas, saying they were impossible. But he refused to shrink his thinking. He sought mentors, studied every detail, experimented tirelessly, and eventually created a product that transformed his industry. His success was not luck, it was the direct result of thinking beyond conventional limits. Schwartz also explores the importance of goal setting in thinking big. Small goals produce small motivation. Big goals, on the other hand, ignite imagination, creativity, and relentless effort. When you aim high, your mind stretches to find solutions. When you aim low, your mind settles for comfort. The choice is yours, but the consequences are undeniable. Another technique he recommends is visualizing your highest potential. Picture yourself not just succeeding, but excelling beyond your current imagination. Imagine the life, career, relationships, and impact you desire. Let these mental images guide your daily actions. Your subconscious mind will work tirelessly to align reality with your vision. Big thinking is also about shaping your identity. How do you see yourself? People who think small often label themselves as ordinary, average, or limited. Big thinkers adopt a self-image that matches their ambitions. I am capable of extraordinary achievement. I am a person who solves problems and creates opportunities. I am destined to make an impact. Your identity and your thinking are inseparable. Expand one and the other follows. There's also an emotional element to thinking big. Schwartz points out that fear, doubt, and hesitation shrink your thinking. Courage, persistence, and optimism expand it. By consciously cultivating positive emotions, you create the mental space necessary for big ideas to flourish. Every time you take bold action, confront fear, or embrace opportunity, your mind stretches, your confidence grows, and your capacity for achievement multiplies. Let's explore another practical strategy. Ask better questions. Small thinkers ask questions that limit their possibilities. Can I really do this? What if I fail? Big thinkers ask questions that open doors. What opportunities exist if I try? How can I achieve this goal faster or better? Questions shape thoughts, and thoughts shape results. Big thinkers know this, and they master the art of asking the right questions. Importantly, thinking big is not a solitary endeavor. Schwartz emphasizes the power of influence and leadership. When you think big, others are inspired to do the same. Your vision becomes a magnet for talent, resources, and collaboration. The energy of big thinking is infectious. It draws support, creates momentum, and multiplies impact. However, there is a cautionary note. Big thinking without focus can become scattered ambition. Schwartz advises combining expansive vision with deliberate action. Dream boldly, but plan meticulously. Set priorities, break goals into actionable steps, and execute with consistency. Vision alone is not enough. Action transforms it into reality. By now, it should be clear. Thinking big is a conscious choice. You can choose to live within the small confines of fear, doubt, and mediocrity. Or you can choose to stretch your mind, expand your vision, and pursue extraordinary possibilities. The latter requires courage, discipline, and daily commitment, but the rewards are immense. Imagine your life as a canvas. Small thinking paints in muted colors, safe and unremarkable. Big thinking paints in vivid, bold strokes, creating a masterpiece that captures imagination and leaves a legacy. The power is in your hands. But Schwartz leaves us with a tantalizing question that bridges this chapter to the next. Courage alone is not enough, and thinking big without direction can falter. How do you align your thinking with the people, environment, and strategies that will make your vision a reality? That, he promises, is the next step in unlocking your potential. The next chapter will reveal how your self-image and mindset shape your results and how transforming how you see yourself can amplify everything you've learned so far. Chapter 5. You are what you think you are. The mirror of self-image. Have you ever wondered why some people effortlessly attract success, admiration, and opportunity, while others seem invisible, struggling at every turn? What if the true key isn't talent, luck, or resources, but the way you see yourself? Your self-image, the mental picture you carry of yourself, is the single most important determinant of what you can achieve. Schwartz calls it a mirror of your mind, reflecting back the life you believe you deserve. If your self-image is small, timid, or uncertain, the world responds accordingly. If your self-image is bold, capable, and confident, the world opens doors, offers opportunities, and mirrors your belief in yourself. Imagine two people entering the same room. One stands tall, speaks with assurance, and carries the aura of competence. The other slouches, hesitates, and doubts every word. Which person do you think will command attention, gain trust, and attract opportunity? The answer is obvious, but it's also the product of self-perception, not innate talent. The first person didn't just appear confident, they built a mental image of themselves as capable, worthy, and effective, and the world responded in kind. Schwartz emphasizes that self-image is learned, not fixed. It is shaped by experiences, education, environment, and the stories we tell ourselves. The good news is that if your current self-image is limiting you, it can be reshaped. The bad news, if left unchecked, a poor self-image silently undermines every goal, every effort, and every dream. How does this happen? Our minds act as self-fulfilling prophecies. If you think you are unworthy, incapable, or unlucky, your thoughts, choices, and actions align to confirm that belief. You may unconsciously avoid opportunities, hesitate in key moments, or give up when challenges arise. Conversely, if you think you are talented, resourceful, and deserving, your actions naturally create evidence to support that belief. Consider the example of a young salesperson who believed deep down they weren't persuasive. Every pitch was laced with hesitation. Every negotiation ended with compromise, and every opportunity slipped away. The issue wasn't the market, the product, or the clients. It was their self-image. By consciously cultivating the belief that they were persuasive, competent, and capable of influencing others, their tone, posture, and confidence transformed. Within months, their results skyrocketed, not because their skills changed overnight, but because their self-perception changed their behavior. Schwartz identifies several strategies to improve your self-image and leverage it for success. Visualize the person you want to be. See yourself as confident, capable, and successful. Picture how you would act, speak, and carry yourself if you fully embodied that identity. Visualization is a rehearsal for reality. The more vivid and consistent, the more your subconscious begins to align with it. Affirm your strengths daily. Speak to yourself in positive, empowering language. Replace "I can't" with "I can." "I'm not ready" with "I am capable." Affirmations are not empty words. They are tools to reprogram the mind, reinforcing belief in your potential. Act as if. Behavior shapes identity. If you act like the person you want to be, your mind will eventually catch up. Stand tall, speak clearly, and take bold action, even if it feels unnatural at first. The body influences the mind just as much as the mind influences the body. Eliminate negative influences. The environment affects self-image. Surround yourself with people who elevate you, inspire you, and believe in growth. Distance yourself from naysayers, critics, and chronic pessimists who reinforce doubt. Focus on achievement, not approval. Too often, self-image is tied to the opinions of others. Schwartz encourages separating your worth from external validation. Focus on competence, learning, and progress, rather than worrying about who approves or disapproves. A critical insight from this chapter is that self-image governs not only what you achieve, but how you respond to setbacks. A strong self-image makes challenges temporary, solvable, and surmountable. A weak self-image interprets failure as proof of inadequacy, leading to hesitation, doubt, and avoidance. By nurturing a powerful self-image, you immunize yourself against the corrosive effects of criticism, mistakes, and uncertainty. Schwartz also emphasizes the link between self-image and ambition. People with limited self-images settle for less. They avoid risks, bypass opportunities, and live below their potential. People with expansive self-images reach higher, dream bigger, and pursue challenges that others shy away from. Ambition is not just desire, it is belief in your worthiness to pursue more. Let's explore another practical tool. Actively rehearse success. Before a presentation, meeting, or challenge, imagine it going perfectly. Envision yourself navigating obstacles with skill, handling questions with confidence, and achieving your goal with ease. Mental rehearsal strengthens your self-image, prepares your mind for reality, and reduces fear and hesitation. Schwartz also warns against the trap of comparing yourself to others. Self-image is personal and internal. It is not measured by others' achievements. Comparing yourself to those ahead or behind creates envy, doubt, or complacency. Focus on your growth, your vision, and your capacity to improve. The only benchmark that matters is the person you were yesterday. Here's a story to illustrate the power of self-image. A young teacher doubted their ability to manage a classroom effectively. Their self-image was fragile, filled with fear of failure. Students sensed the hesitation, and behavior issues multiplied. The teacher decided to consciously adopt a confident, authoritative persona. They visualized themselves as capable, projected calmness, and consistently reinforced this image through action. Within months, the classroom dynamics transformed. The teacher's self-image dictated not only their behavior, but also the reactions of those around them. Self-image also affects decision-making. People with strong self-images make decisive choices because they trust their judgment. People with weak self-images hesitate, overanalyze, and defer responsibility. Confidence breeds clarity, and clarity produces results. Perhaps the most profound truth Schwartz imparts is this: you are not stuck with the self-image you have today. Your mind is plastic, adaptable, and capable of growth. Every conscious thought, every act of courage, every bold choice reshapes your mental picture of yourself. Each day offers an opportunity to reinforce the image of the person you want to become. But there is a challenge lurking just beyond this insight. Cultivating a powerful self-image requires more than internal belief. It demands alignment with your environment, habits, and goals. Without this alignment, even the strongest self-image can falter under pressure. How do you ensure that your self-image is not only confident, but also effective in driving extraordinary results? That question is the bridge to the next chapter. In the next chapter, Schwartz explores the critical role of your environment, the people you interact with, the places you inhabit, and the influences you absorb, and how mastering this external world amplifies your internal self-image, multiplying your power to succeed.
Chapter 6. Manage your environment. Surround yourself with success. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to rise effortlessly while others struggle despite talent, effort, and ambition? What if the people and places around you are secretly shaping your destiny, either lifting you up or holding you back? No one achieves greatness in isolation. Your environment, the people you spend time with, the media you consume, the places you inhabit, acts like fertile soil. In the right environment, your ideas grow, your confidence blossoms, and your potential multiplies. In a toxic environment, even the brightest talents can wither, stunted by negativity, doubt, and limitation. David J. Schwartz emphasizes this principle. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Consider this truth. If you surround yourself with small thinkers, chronic complainers, or passive spectators, their attitudes will subtly shape your own. Over time, their doubts, fears, and excuses become your internal dialogue. Your ambitions shrink, your courage fades, and your self-image suffers. Conversely, when you surround yourself with ambitious, positive, and action-oriented people, their energy is contagious. Their habits, mindset, and vision inspire you to rise above mediocrity. Schwartz identifies 3 critical aspects of environment that shape success: people, media, and physical surroundings. People. The individuals you associate with most influence your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, inspire you, and push you toward growth. Avoid those who constantly complain, criticize, or dwell in fear. Seek mentors, collaborators, and friends who embody the traits, values, and results you aspire to achieve. Media. What you read, watch, and listen to enters your mind and shapes your perspective. Constant exposure to negativity, gossip, or fear-mongering narrows your vision and fuels doubt. Consume content that educates, inspires, and expands your thinking. Choose books, podcasts, and media that feed your ambition rather than your insecurities. Physical surroundings. Your environment also includes your workspace, home, and the spaces you occupy daily. Cluttered, chaotic, or uninspiring spaces can subtly erode focus, energy, and confidence. Conversely, organized, stimulating, and visually inspiring spaces fuel creativity, clarity, and motivation. One powerful example Schwartz shares is the story of a young professional struggling to advance in her career. Surrounded by colleagues who constantly complained, she absorbed their pessimism, doubted her abilities, and limited her own efforts. When she made the conscious choice to spend more time with mentors, attend professional workshops, and engage with ambitious peers, her mindset transformed. Her confidence grew, her ideas flourished, and opportunities that once seemed out of reach began to appear. The environment didn't change her innate abilities, it changed how she thought, acted, and believed. Schwartz also stresses that managing your environment is not passive. It requires active, ongoing effort. People change, circumstances evolve, and influences shift. Constant vigilance ensures that the environment continues to support your growth rather than erode it. There's also a subtle but crucial psychological effect. Your environment shapes self-image. If you surround yourself with high achievers, ambitious thinkers, and supportive allies, your self-image expands naturally. You begin to see yourself as capable of similar achievements. Conversely, if your environment reinforces doubt, fear, or mediocrity, your self-image contracts. Managing your environment is, therefore, a direct tool for shaping how you see yourself, and in turn, how you act in the world. Consider a high-performing athlete training in a mediocre or negative environment. No matter how talented, their potential is capped by the attitudes, expectations, and behaviors of those around them. But place the same athlete among mentors, supportive coaches, and ambitious peers, and performance skyrockets. The difference is not in the athlete, it is in the influence of environment on belief, effort, and focus. Schwartz also warns about the subtle danger of comfort zones. Many people remain in familiar but limiting environments because it feels safe. They cling to routine, old friendships, or familiar settings, even if these constraints silently suppress ambition. Big thinkers, in contrast, expand their environment, seeking challenges, opportunities, and inspiration beyond comfort. Growth requires discomfort. Success requires deliberate selection of influences that elevate, challenge, and stretch you. An additional insight is the importance of positive reinforcement loops. When you surround yourself with success-minded individuals, you receive encouragement, advice, and accountability. Your actions are amplified, your motivation reinforced, and your confidence strengthened. The right environment does not just support you, it accelerates your progress exponentially. Schwartz's ultimate lesson in this chapter is clear. Your environment is not accidental, it is chosen. The people, media, and spaces you expose yourself to determine your mindset, habits, and results. Big thinkers do not wait for ideal circumstances, they create them. They consciously select influences that reflect their ambitions, reinforce their self-image, and cultivate a culture of action, courage, and growth. But here's the suspenseful twist. Even with the right environment, belief, and action, success can be fleeting if your attitudes are misaligned. Negative, self-defeating attitudes can neutralize even the most supportive environment. The next chapter will reveal how to transform your attitudes into allies, ensuring that your environment, mindset, and actions all work in harmony toward extraordinary success.
Chapter 7. Make your attitudes your allies. The power of positivity. Have you noticed how some people seem to attract success, opportunities, and admiration effortlessly? What if the secret isn't talent or luck, but the invisible force of attitude shaping every moment of their lives? Attitude is more than just a feeling. It is the lens through which you view the world, the engine that drives your behavior, and the magnet that attracts opportunities or repels them. David J. Schwartz emphasizes that your attitudes can either be your greatest ally or your deadliest enemy. Positive attitudes inspire action, creativity, and influence. Negative attitudes erode potential, drain energy, and silently sabotage achievement. Consider this. Two equally skilled individuals face the same challenge. One approaches it with optimism, curiosity, and determination. The other approaches it with fear, doubt, and complaint. Who do you think will find solutions, persevere, and succeed? The difference is not intelligence or talent, it is attitude. Schwartz identifies 5 key attitudes that define success-minded individuals. The attitude of confidence. Belief in your ability to handle challenges is contagious. When you approach tasks with confidence, others trust you, doors open, and opportunities multiply. Confidence is not arrogance. It is a calm, steadfast assurance that you can rise to meet challenges. The attitude of action. Positive attitudes thrive in motion. Optimism without action is wasted energy. When you combine a positive outlook with consistent effort, fear diminishes, doubt fades, and momentum builds. Action reinforces attitude, creating a self-sustaining cycle of success. The attitude of persistence. Obstacles are inevitable. Failure is temporary. A positive attitude sees setbacks as lessons, not verdicts. Persistence, fueled by optimism, transforms barriers into stepping stones. Every small victory compounds confidence, resilience, and competence. The attitude of curiosity and learning. Big thinkers maintain an insatiable desire to learn, grow, and improve. Curiosity expands possibilities and prevents stagnation. When you embrace challenges as opportunities to learn, your attitude shifts from defensive fear to empowered exploration. The attitude of appreciation and gratitude. Positive individuals recognize progress, celebrate effort, and express gratitude. This mindset reinforces confidence, nurtures relationships, and enhances overall well-being. Attitude is not only inward-facing, it radiates outward, influencing the world around you. Schwartz also highlights the destructive power of negative attitudes. Pessimism, cynicism,
Complaint and self-doubt act like invisible chains, limiting your thinking, stifling creativity, and weakening influence. Negative attitudes are contagious. One negative voice in a team can dampen morale, slow decision-making, and diminish achievement. Conversely, a single positive, proactive individual can elevate an entire group. A key lesson in this chapter is the importance of self-awareness. You must consciously monitor your thoughts and language. Ask yourself, are my words and thoughts empowering or limiting? Do I approach problems with optimism or defeatism? Self-awareness allows you to catch negative patterns before they become habits, replacing them with attitudes that reinforce growth, resilience, and success. Schwartz also introduces a subtle but powerful tool, attitude conditioning. It is the deliberate practice of shaping your thoughts, emotions, and responses to align with your goals. Begin each day with affirmations that reinforce confidence, optimism, and resilience. Frame challenges as opportunities to learn, grow, and excel. Visualize successful outcomes before taking action. Over time, attitude conditioning rewires your mind to naturally adopt positivity even under stress or pressure. It transforms internal dialogue from a source of doubt into a source of strength. Let's explore a practical example. A manager faces a team resistant to change. A negative attitude might interpret resistance as failure or incompetence, resulting in frustration and stagnation. A positive, solution-oriented attitude interprets resistance as an opportunity to educate, motivate, and lead. By approaching the situation with optimism, patience, and persistence, the manager not only implements change but inspires loyalty and engagement. Attitude directly shapes outcomes. Schwartz also emphasizes the ripple effect of attitude. Your mindset affects not only your results, but the people around you. Teams, families, and communities respond to your energy, enthusiasm, and resilience. Positive attitudes are magnets for collaboration, support, and success. Negative attitudes repel, isolate, and hinder achievement. Another essential insight is that attitude is controllable regardless of circumstances. Life will always present challenges, setbacks, and disappointments, but your response, your attitude, is always within your control. Optimism is not naive, it is strategic. Choosing a positive outlook amplifies problem-solving ability, resilience, and influence. Consider the story of an entrepreneur launching a new product in a difficult market. Initial sales were slow and competitors seemed formidable. A negative attitude would have led to frustration and withdrawal. Instead, the entrepreneur maintained a solution-focused attitude, learned from feedback, refined the product, and persisted. Within months, the product gained traction, outperforming expectations. The difference was not the market, it was the entrepreneur's attitude. Schwartz also provides practical exercises to cultivate positive attitudes daily. Morning visualization. Picture your day unfolding successfully. Anticipate challenges and imagine yourself navigating them with skill and composure. Affirmative self-talk. Replace "I can't" with "I can," and "this is impossible" with "this can be done." Gratitude journaling. Note 3 things each day for which you are grateful. This reinforces positivity and trains your mind to focus on opportunities rather than obstacles. Associate with positivity. Spend time with people who inspire, support, and motivate you. Avoid chronic complainers who drain energy and diminish optimism. Attitude also influences decision-making. Positive thinkers make bolder, faster, and more effective decisions because they trust their judgment and embrace calculated risks. Negative thinkers hesitate, second-guess, and miss opportunities. Momentum, growth, and influence all flow from the energy of attitude. One of the most profound truths in this chapter is that attitude and action are inseparable. Optimism fuels action, action reinforces optimism, and together they create a self-perpetuating cycle of growth and achievement. Fear, doubt, and hesitation break this cycle. Positivity and courage sustain it. Schwartz leaves the reader with a subtle warning. Even those with knowledge, skills, and resources can fail if their attitudes are misaligned. Conversely, those with modest abilities but a positive, action-oriented attitude often outperform expectations. Attitude is not peripheral, it is central to every success story. And finally, Schwartz teases the next step. Attitude alone is not enough. Big thinking, confidence, and positivity must be channeled into action that inspires, motivates, and achieves results. The next chapter will reveal how to combine these elements with leadership and influence to magnify success beyond imagination.
Chapter 8. Think Right Toward People, the Key to Influence. Have you ever wondered why some people effortlessly inspire trust, loyalty, and cooperation, while others struggle to be heard or respected? What if the secret isn't charisma, authority, or position, but the way you think about and treat people every single day? Success is rarely achieved in isolation. Every achievement, large or small, involves interactions, relationships, and influence. And at the core of influence lies a simple principle. People respond to how you think about them. Your mindset toward others dictates your ability to lead, persuade, and collaborate. David J. Schwartz teaches that thinking right toward people is not just courteous, it is strategic, empowering, and transformative. Imagine walking into a room full of colleagues or strangers. Your thoughts could be critical, doubtful, or indifferent. They won't like my idea. They aren't worth my effort. Or your thoughts could be positive, respectful, and empowering. Everyone has value. I can learn from them. I can inspire cooperation. Which approach will open doors, create allies, and generate opportunity? The answer is clear. Your attitude toward people shapes their response to you. Schwartz emphasizes that most failures in business, leadership, and personal life come not from lack of knowledge or skill, but from negative thinking about others. Suspicion, criticism, and contempt erode influence. Optimism, respect, and belief in others amplify it. People naturally mirror the respect, attention, and belief you offer. Consider the simple but powerful idea of expectancy. If you expect the best from people, they tend to deliver it. If you expect the worst, your negative expectations often provoke defensive, resistant, or uncooperative behavior. Big thinkers focus on possibility, capability, and potential in others. They consciously choose to see strengths rather than weaknesses. Schwartz outlines several attitudes and practices that build influence. Genuine respect. Treat everyone as valuable, regardless of status or role. Respect earns trust, cooperation, and loyalty. People instinctively respond to those who see them as capable and worthy. Active listening. Truly listening to others signals respect and validation. It allows you to understand needs, perspectives, and motivations, which is essential for influence and collaboration. Positive expectations. Expect competence, honesty, and commitment from others. This attitude inspires confidence and encourages people to rise to your expectations. Praise and appreciation. Schwartz stresses the power of sincere recognition. Small acknowledgments of effort, achievement, or dedication build goodwill, motivation, and loyalty. Positive reinforcement is more effective than criticism in eliciting cooperation. Avoid criticism and condemnation. Criticism rarely produces improvement. It breeds resentment and resistance. Instead, focus on guidance, encouragement, and constructive feedback. Influence grows when people feel supported rather than judged. The essence of this chapter is that influence begins in the mind. Before you can persuade, lead, or inspire, you must first cultivate the right internal attitude toward others. Negative assumptions, envy, or suspicion will sabotage relationships even before action begins. Positive, empowering thought creates fertile ground for trust, collaboration, and leadership. Let's explore a practical example. A team leader struggling to motivate employees. Initially, the leader assumed laziness and disinterest, constantly criticizing performance. Results remained stagnant.
When the leader shifted mindset, assuming employees wanted to succeed and had untapped potential, the approach changed. Meetings became collaborative, goals were clarified with encouragement, and employees were empowered to take initiative. Productivity soared. The shift began not in policies or tasks, but in thought. Another key insight from Schwartz: the way you think about people affects how you act, which in turn shapes their response. Thought precedes action, and action creates results. A respectful, optimistic mindset leads to supportive, cooperative behavior, which produces success. A negative, critical mindset produces defensiveness, avoidance, and failure. Influence is therefore a direct function of thought. Schwartz also emphasizes the importance of empathy. Understanding and valuing perspectives, emotions, and motivations of others strengthens relationships and magnifies influence. People do not follow instructions. They respond to genuine recognition, care, and understanding. Thinking right toward people requires putting yourself in their shoes and responding thoughtfully rather than reactively. One practical tool he provides is the golden question: what can I do to make others feel important today? This mindset transforms daily interactions. When you consciously think about others' value and contribution, your words, tone, and actions align to reinforce that belief. People respond by offering cooperation, loyalty, and trust. Influence grows quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. Schwartz also addresses handling difficult or negative people. The instinct may be to criticize, compete, or withdraw. Instead, he suggests maintaining a positive, respectful internal attitude. Focus on strengths, listen attentively, and respond calmly. Your mindset can neutralize hostility, disarm opposition, and even convert critics into allies. Influence is maximized when negativity is met with strategic positivity rather than reactionary emotion. A subtle but crucial point: thinking right toward people does not mean being a pushover or abandoning standards. It means combining respect and belief in others with clarity, assertiveness, and high expectations. Influence is greatest when people feel valued and understood, but also challenged to rise to their potential. Schwartz underscores that relationships and influence are multiplicative, not additive. Each person you positively impact can amplify your reach, support your goals, and extend your vision. Influence grows exponentially when grounded in respect, empathy, and positive expectation. Small, thoughtful actions can ripple into enormous results. Attitude toward people also affects personal reputation. Leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers are remembered less for directives or policies and more for how they made others feel. A positive, empowering approach builds credibility, loyalty, and long-term impact. Negative or critical attitudes create distrust, avoidance, and conflict. Finally, Schwartz teases the broader implication of this principle. Thinking right toward people is the foundation for leadership, networking, persuasion, and influence in every sphere of life. But here's the suspense. While attitude toward others is critical, it is only one piece of the puzzle. Success also demands decisive action, goal setting, and persistent courage. The next chapter will reveal the secrets of translating positive thinking into concrete, consistent results that multiply influence and achievement.
Chapter 9. Get the action habit. Success is built on doing. Have you ever dreamed of success, plotted every detail, yet found yourself stuck in indecision? What if the secret to achievement isn't planning or talent, but the relentless habit of action? Action is the engine that transforms thought, knowledge, and ambition into tangible results. David J. Schwartz emphasizes a profound truth. Thinking big is useless without doing big. Ideas remain dreams without action. Plans remain blueprints without execution. Action bridges the gap between possibility and reality. Consider the countless talented individuals who fail, not for lack of intelligence or skill, but for inaction. They overanalyze, procrastinate, and wait for perfect conditions. Meanwhile, those who take decisive steps, no matter how small, move forward, gain experience, and create momentum. Action turns fear into confidence, hesitation into mastery, and opportunity into success. Schwartz introduces the action habit, the disciplined, consistent practice of doing, learning, and adapting. The habit of action is cultivated, not inherited. It requires commitment, courage, and persistence. Each time you act, even imperfectly, you build a pattern of decisiveness that compounds over time. The first principle of the action habit is start now. Do not wait for inspiration, perfect conditions, or full certainty. Begin immediately with what you have, where you are, and with whom you are. Momentum grows through movement. A single step forward ignites a chain reaction, transforming fear, doubt, and hesitation into courage, insight, and progress. Schwartz illustrates this with the story of a young professional who dreamed of launching a business. Paralyzed by uncertainty and fear of failure, they delayed action for months. Then they decided to take a small step, reaching out to a mentor. That single act sparked a series of decisive actions: market research, prototype development, networking, and ultimately launch. The initial step created momentum that fueled the entire journey. Another principle is action creates courage. Fear is neutralized not by thinking, but by doing. Every act of initiative, no matter how minor, builds confidence. Every completed task reinforces the belief that you're capable. Hesitation, by contrast, magnifies fear, diminishes confidence, and stifles potential. Schwartz also emphasizes the importance of decisiveness. Successful individuals make decisions quickly, then refine as needed. Indecision breeds stagnation. Waiting for all information, perfect conditions, or guaranteed outcomes leads to missed opportunities. Taking bold, calculated action, even with incomplete data, accelerates learning, builds resilience, and generates results. A key technique Schwartz recommends is action thinking. This means integrating thought and planning with immediate action. Ask yourself, what is the next step I can take today? What practical move will advance my goal? Then do it, without delay. Action thinking transforms abstract ideas into concrete results. Consider this: even minor actions have a compounding effect. Making a single phone call, writing a short proposal, or attending a meeting can spark opportunities, forge connections, and create momentum. The habit of action ensures that progress accumulates, effort compounds, and achievement escalates. Schwartz also stresses the value of persistence in action. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are inevitable. The difference between success and failure is not avoiding obstacles, it is the persistence to act despite them. Each act of persistence strengthens skill, resilience, and belief, creating a foundation for greater accomplishments. Another insight is that action attracts opportunity. People notice those who act decisively and courageously. They are trusted with responsibility, invited into collaborations, and offered support. In contrast, those who hesitate or procrastinate are overlooked, ignored, or left behind. Action signals competence, confidence, and reliability. Schwartz provides a practical framework for building the action habit. Set clear priorities, identify key tasks that will have the most significant impact, focus action on what truly matters. Break tasks into steps. Large goals can seem overwhelming. Divide them into actionable steps and tackle one at a time. Commit to immediate execution. Decide what you will do today and act without delay. Small, consistent actions generate momentum.
Track progress and adjust. Monitor outcomes, learn from mistakes, and refine actions. Feedback loops accelerate growth. And celebrate completion. Acknowledge every action taken and every task completed. Reinforcement strengthens the habit. Schwartz also addresses the danger of over-planning. While strategy and preparation are important, excessive planning without action is a form of procrastination. The world rewards execution, not endless analysis. Big thinkers who act are always ahead of perfectionists who wait. The story of a mid-level manager illustrates this vividly. Faced with a stagnant team, they hesitated to implement change, fearing mistakes. When they finally acted, introducing small process improvements and encouraging initiative, the results transformed the department. Action, not fear, reshaped the environment and outcomes. A critical insight is that action multiplies the value of thinking. Ideas alone are inert. Action energizes them. Big thinking, confidence, positive attitude, and the right relationships all reach their full potential only when paired with deliberate, consistent execution. Schwartz emphasizes that the action habit is a choice. It is formed by committing daily to act despite fear, doubt, or uncertainty. Each day offers countless small opportunities to practice action, build momentum, and reinforce belief. Over time, action becomes instinctive, natural, and unstoppable. Finally, he warns that inaction has a hidden cost. Waiting, hesitating, and procrastinating not only delay success, they erode confidence, amplify fear, and limit potential. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to act. Momentum is lost, opportunities vanish, and life moves on without you. Here's the suspenseful question that bridges to the next chapter. Even with consistent action, big thinking, and the right attitude, how do you ensure your actions are directed toward meaningful, high-impact goals rather than wasted effort? That is the next step in the journey, learning to focus your energy, choose the right objectives, and maximize results.
Chapter 10. Turn Defeat into Victory. The Secret of Resilience. Have you ever faced a crushing failure and felt like the world had closed its doors on you? What if every setback, disappointment, and defeat was secretly a hidden step toward your greatest triumph? Defeat is not final, unless you allow it to be. David J. Schwartz emphasizes a profound truth. Success is built on resilience, the ability to turn defeat into opportunity. Every setback carries a lesson, a new perspective, or a path previously invisible. The way you respond to failure determines whether it becomes a stumbling block or a stepping stone. Consider the countless stories of extraordinary achievers. They did not succeed because they avoided failure. They succeeded because they refused to let it define them. Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the electric light bulb, famously reframed failure. Each unsuccessful attempt revealed a method that wouldn't work, bringing him closer to the solution. Defeat in this mindset is feedback, not final judgment. Schwartz asserts that resilient thinking begins with attitude. How you perceive failure directly impacts your ability to recover and move forward. A negative mindset interprets mistakes as proof of inadequacy, generating fear, hesitation, and avoidance. A resilient mindset sees mistakes as temporary, solvable, and instructive. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. The first key principle of turning defeat into victory is accept responsibility without blame. Victims focus on circumstances, others, or luck. Victors focus on their response. By taking control of your reaction to defeat, you reclaim power and open the door to solutions. Blame externalizes failure. Responsibility internalizes opportunity. Schwartz also emphasizes the power of reflection and analysis. After a setback, pause to evaluate objectively.
What went wrong? What could I have done differently? What can I learn? Thoughtful reflection transforms mistakes into insight. It converts pain into knowledge and frustration into strategy. Another critical principle: maintain confidence despite setbacks. Many failures result from losing faith in oneself. Confidence combined with learning creates resilience. Even after repeated disappointments, belief in your ability to overcome challenges fuels persistence and problem-solving. Schwartz provides a practical technique called defeat reframing. Whenever a setback occurs, consciously ask, what opportunity does this defeat reveal? What can I do now that I couldn't see before? By reframing failure as a hidden advantage, your mind shifts from despair to solution-focused thinking. Let's consider the story of a young entrepreneur whose first business venture collapsed. Instead of surrendering, they analyzed every mistake, sought advice from experienced mentors, and identified untapped market needs. With renewed strategy and determination, their second venture thrived beyond imagination. The first defeat became a powerful foundation for ultimate success. A subtle but crucial insight: resilience is strengthened by preparation. Big thinkers cultivate habits, skills, and attitudes that enable recovery from setbacks. Mental discipline, optimism, action orientation, and positive relationships form a protective framework. When defeat occurs, these foundations prevent collapse and accelerate recovery. Schwartz also emphasizes the role of persistence in resilience. Action, taken consistently despite failure, creates momentum. Every effort, every small victory, rebuilds confidence and reinforces belief. Persistence transforms temporary defeat into long-term achievement. Another key factor is emotional control. Defeat triggers fear, anger, and despair. Allowing these emotions to dominate decisions magnifies failure. Resilient individuals acknowledge emotions but do not allow them to dictate behavior. They channel feelings into focused, purposeful action, maintaining clarity and direction. Schwartz provides a practical step-by-step method to turn defeat into victory. Acknowledge the defeat. Recognize what happened without exaggeration or denial. Clear awareness is the first step toward recovery. Analyze objectively. Identify causes, lessons, and areas for improvement. Focus on actionable insights rather than blame. Reframe the situation. Ask, what opportunity exists here? How can this setback advance my growth? Plan and act. Convert lessons into strategy. Take decisive action to correct course and move forward. Maintain optimism and confidence. Reinforce belief in your abilities, potential, and ultimate success. Positive mental energy fuels recovery. Schwartz stresses that resilience is contagious. Observing others rebound from setbacks inspires those around you. Leaders who demonstrate composure, adaptability, and determination motivate teams, build trust, and foster collective courage. Influence, achievement, and legacy are amplified by visible resilience. He also warns about the dangers of dwelling on failure. Rumination magnifies fear, erodes confidence, and inhibits action. The fastest path from defeat to victory is through focused, constructive action. Every moment spent lamenting lost opportunities is a moment lost in creating new ones. Consider an example from sports. A championship team loses a critical game. Teams that dwell on loss falter in future matches. Teams that analyze, adapt, and act emerge stronger, more cohesive, and often victorious in subsequent challenges. The same principle applies in business, relationships, and personal growth. Defeat is temporary, resilience transforms it into progress. Schwartz underscores the importance of belief in ultimate success. A resilient individual maintains an unwavering vision of victory even amid temporary setbacks. This belief fuels action, persistence, and creativity, enabling solutions that others may overlook. Success is not prevented by obstacles. It is accelerated by those who refuse to surrender mentally. The suspenseful question bridging to the next chapter is this: resilience is essential. But how do you ensure that your victories are not only personal, but also inspire and impact others around you? The next chapter will reveal the strategies for leading, influencing, and motivating people to maximize collective success.
Chapter 16: How to Multiply Your Success, Creating Lasting Impact and Influence. Have you ever wondered why some people's achievements ripple far beyond themselves, touching countless lives? What if success isn't just about what you accomplish, but how you inspire, influence, and elevate others along the way? Success is most powerful when it multiplies. David J. Schwartz emphasizes that true achievement is never isolated. It grows exponentially when you help others succeed, create impact, and leave a lasting legacy. Big thinkers understand that influence is not a finite resource. It expands as you share it wisely. Consider two individuals. One achieves personal success, but keeps knowledge, opportunities, and influence to themselves. Their accomplishments are solitary, fleeting, and limited in scope. The other person actively shares insights, mentors others, builds teams, and elevates their environment. Their success multiplies, producing results far beyond their personal effort. The difference is leadership, vision, and the mindset to multiply impact. Schwartz identifies 3 key ways to multiply success. Develop people around you. Every time you help someone improve, achieve, or grow, your influence multiplies. Mentoring, teaching, and supporting others creates compounding effects that reach far beyond what you could accomplish alone. Success grows through the people you empower. Share knowledge and resources. Big thinkers understand that knowledge hoarded diminishes potential. Sharing strategies, insights, and lessons learned accelerates collective growth. The more you give, the more you create a network of capable, inspired individuals who can act, innovate, and spread ideas further. Lead by example. Influence is amplified through demonstration. People follow what they see, not just what they are told. Consistently modeling big thinking, resilience, integrity, and action inspires others to emulate your behavior, multiplying your impact without additional effort. Schwartz emphasizes that multiplying success begins with mindset. You must genuinely believe that empowering others strengthens your own achievements. Scarcity thinking, fearing that helping someone else diminishes your success, limits both growth and influence. A generous, expansive mindset is the foundation of lasting achievement. Consider a real-world example. A business leader who mentors promising employees and shares strategic insights with peers. Over time, these individuals achieve success, innovate, and mentor others themselves. The leader's influence spreads exponentially, far beyond what they could achieve individually. One act of teaching, support, or empowerment multiplies into countless outcomes. Another principle Schwartz highlights is creating systems and culture that sustain impact. Big thinkers design environments where initiative, creativity, and responsibility flourish. Leaders who multiply success don't just work hard. They structure processes, delegate effectively, and cultivate habits in others that allow long-term influence to continue even when they are not present. Schwartz also stresses the role of consistency in multiplying success. Occasional acts of support, mentoring, or example are insufficient. Daily reinforcement through guidance, feedback, encouragement, and modeling, creates an enduring culture of achievement and influence. Momentum compounds over time, producing exponential results. A subtle but critical insight. Recognize and celebrate the achievements of others. Publicly acknowledging contributions, providing praise, and sharing credit reinforces confidence, motivation, and loyalty. When people feel valued, they are more likely to act, innovate, and extend your influence further. Multiplication of success is fueled by recognition and appreciation. Schwartz provides practical strategies to multiply your success. Mentor at least one person regularly. Invest time and guidance consistently. Your influence will ripple far beyond the immediate interaction. Share key lessons publicly. Writing, speaking, or teaching spreads ideas and inspires action in others. Delegate with responsibility. Empower others to lead and innovate. Their success becomes your multiplied success. Build teams of excellence. Surround yourself with capable, ambitious, and aligned individuals. Collective achievement far exceeds individual effort. Create legacy projects. Focus on initiatives or programs that continue to generate impact even when you are not directly involved. Another critical principle is integrity and trust. Multiplication of success only occurs in environments where people can rely on your guidance, honesty, and consistency. Trust amplifies influence because it encourages others to act boldly, take risks, and emulate your approach with confidence. Schwartz also emphasizes the importance of vision alignment. When others share your goals, values, and mindset, collaboration becomes seamless. Daily actions, decisions, and behaviors aligned with shared vision create compounded influence, producing results unattainable through solo effort. Consider the story of a teacher who inspires students not only through instruction, but also through personal example, encouragement, and mentorship. The students succeed academically, personally, and professionally, and some of them go on to mentor others. The teacher's impact multiplies across generations, leaving a legacy far greater than the classroom itself. Schwartz reminds us that the multiplier effect extends beyond professional life. Family, community, and social contributions can also be amplified through positive influence. By thinking big and acting generously, you create benefits that extend far beyond immediate goals or recognition. Finally, Schwartz bridges to the next and final chapter with suspense. Multiplying success is the ultimate expression of big thinking, but how do you synthesize all the principles of this book into a life of lasting achievement, fulfillment, and legacy? The next chapter will provide the ultimate closing reflections, guiding you to live the magic of thinking big every day.
Chapter 17, Closing Reflections, or The Final Call, Living the Magic of Thinking Big. Have you ever wondered what separates those who dream from those who achieve extraordinary lives? What if the secret isn't talent, opportunity, or luck, but a mindset, a daily practice, and the courage to think bigger than you ever imagined? As we reach the end of this journey through the magic of thinking big, it's time to reflect on what makes big thinkers truly extraordinary. David J. Schwartz teaches that thinking big is not just a concept. It is a lifestyle, a discipline, and a commitment to living at your highest potential. It shapes your thoughts, actions, relationships, and ultimately, your destiny. Big thinking begins with belief, the unwavering faith that you are capable of more than you imagine. It requires action, the courage to pursue ambitious goals despite fear, doubt, or uncertainty. It demands persistence, the determination to continue even when progress seems slow or obstacles loom large.
and it flourishes in a mindset of possibility, the habit of seeing opportunity in every challenge and potential in every person. Throughout this audiobook, we explored principles that transform ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. Confidence and belief. Big thinkers act with faith in their ability to succeed. They eliminate self-doubt and cultivate unwavering confidence. Action-oriented thinking. Ideas alone are powerless. Big thinkers pair vision with decisive, consistent action. Goal setting and daily discipline. Clear, written goals guide energy and decisions. Daily practice sustains momentum and progress. Leadership and influence. Thinking like a leader multiplies impact. Empowering others, setting example, and inspiring trust amplifies results beyond individual effort. Sustaining energy and momentum. Long-term success demands physical, mental, and emotional stamina, alongside habits that preserve focus and clarity. Multiplying success. Sharing knowledge, mentoring, and elevating others transforms personal achievement into lasting influence and legacy. The ultimate lesson is this: thinking big transforms not just what you do, but who you become. Each choice, thought, and action shapes your identity. Over time, these habits embed themselves into your character, creating a person who naturally attracts opportunity, influence, and achievement. Schwartz reminds us that limitations exist mostly in the mind. Most people fail not because of circumstances, intelligence, or resources, but because they accept small thinking. They let fear, doubt, or negative influences dictate their possibilities. Big thinkers break free from these invisible chains. They challenge assumptions, pursue growth relentlessly, and redefine what is possible. Consider the life of a person who embraces big thinking. Each day begins with purpose. Each action aligns with meaningful goals, and each interaction fosters growth, trust, or inspiration. Challenges become opportunities. Setbacks become lessons to learn. Relationships become sources of collaboration, growth, and mutual achievement. Opportunities are recognized and seized. Your influence multiplies, leaving a lasting mark far beyond yourself. This is the magic. This is the life David J. Schwartz invites you to lead. It is a life where your potential is no longer defined by circumstance, but by the size of your vision, the courage of your actions, and the consistency of your effort. As we conclude, take a moment to reflect. What will you do differently starting today? Which beliefs will you expand? Which goals will you pursue with renewed courage? Whom will you empower, inspire, or influence? The journey doesn't end with this audiobook. It begins anew the moment you decide to act on its lessons. Schwartz leaves one final cinematic challenge. Don't settle for small thinking. Don't wait for permission or perfect conditions. Start now, act boldly, and think bigger than your fears. Let every choice you make, every goal you set, and every action you take be guided by the principle that your potential is limitless. Your life is your canvas. Your thoughts are the brush. Your actions are the paint. And big thinking is the vision that turns ordinary effort into a masterpiece of achievement, influence, and fulfillment. So rise, act, empower, lead, dream, achieve, multiply, leave a mark that lasts. Because the magic of thinking big is not in the book, not in the words, but in your willingness to live it every day. Now, the journey of thinking big is in your hands. Go forth, act boldly, and create a life beyond imagination. Thank you for listening. Remember, the size of your thinking determines the size of your success. Dream big, live big, achieve big. The end.